I always wanted to have children, and we were very happy when we found that we could. At that time, we were a little bit established. We were 23 and 25 when we got married and had Sandy about a year later. I remember just being thrilled to death because we had wanted children, and she was just such a delightful baby.
When Sandy was born, she was the light of our life. She was the first grandchild on either side. And we were very excited. At that time, we lived out of state, but came back to New Mexico to visit family, and she was a pride and joy of our life. And a year and a half later, her sister came along. 5 years after that, her little brother came along. And it was great fun. We enjoyed doing things, and she began learning to play the piano. She began to take dance lessons with her sister.
Sandy fell often when she was a child, but she was 25 pounds at a year, and we assumed that she was growing so fast and getting used to herself at one height and one weight, and the next week she'd be larger, and we attributed it to that. As we look back now, we think she was probably having some seizure activity at that time, and we didn't recognize it.
The doctors didn't diagnose any problems with her until she had her first seizure, which was shortly before her 11th birthday. Up until that time, we assumed it was just learning disabilities and could be dealt with through education. The doctors that we were seeing, the general practitioners, had very little information, couldn't offer many answers. We were frustrated. We talked to people, couldn't get answers, couldn't get help that we thought she needed.
The problem is Sandy has no aura. She doesn't know when she's going to have a seizure. If she did, she could sit down on a soft couch and she'd be fine. She doesn't realize anything that's coming. It just suddenly happened. And right before the surgery, she was pitching straight forward onto her face with her arms straight at her side. She couldn't even get them out to soften, her fall. So it really became desperate. And we had 2 other children, and they would come home from school to tell us something exciting that had happened during their day, and we're running out the door to the emergency room. These other 2 children kept all of this inside. They never told us what they went through, until she was in a group home setting.
How did we arrive at the decision to place her in the home was as a result of the tests, and both psychological tests and medical tests. And the results of those tests in conferences with her doctors, they suggested to us actually that we should be looking at placing her in a home, that her needs were beyond our capabilities.
I was not prepared when they said she'd be better off living away from us. That was just devastating. I thought, here we've done everything we can, and then you have to realize, yeah, we've done everything we can, but she needs more. And then you have to forget yourself and just deal with what your child needs, and that's what we've tried to do through CARC. I went down with Sandy and took her down for her initial visit, and it was Christmas time, and they were having their dance at the Stevens Hotel, and I was to be in town, but they didn't really want to see me out at the ranch, and I can understand that. They didn't want to see me there. They wanted to know Sandy was out, her mother hanging around. And so I went to the dance that night, and they'd gotten her a gift. I was just blown away. I did assume not everyone even knew that she was visiting. And when it came time for Santa to come in and give everyone a gift, they had a gift for Sandy, and I thought, wow, this is what we've been looking for. She's not even an accepted member of this community, and they're treating her as one of their own. We were very, very impressed with that.
When we first went down to visit, we saw these nice group homes that looked like anybody's house in the neighborhood, and the setting is home-like. They've got their own bedrooms, and they have activities in the main dining room, and it's like a big family. It's not an institution or a setting where they're just another client or another patient. They're an individual, and she has someone to support her, just like we would, as a matter of fact, better than we could, because they have the capability of providing that help that we can't.
And I think the city of Carlsbad enters into this in a big way too. They're very, very welcoming. If one of the clients had a problem in town, I think people would step up and help. If someone wandered away, people would realize, oh, this is a person who lives at the CARC farm. We need to assist them in getting back. We have been very, very pleased with the community. They go to the homecoming game at the high school. They're given tickets to performances that come to town. And I think they really feel not only a part of CARC, but of the community.
CARC has worked out wonderfully for our daughter. They are able to provide the 24-hour care that she requires. They are able to provide the social life that we could not provide. The medical care is available, just as good, if not better, than if we had provided it here in our own home. The environment is just outstanding. She's happy. We can see the happiness in her face, and when we talk to her and her stories that she tells us, we know that she's happy. Mm-hmm. That's something we couldn't possibly provide her as parents if she was living at home.
I have not lost my daughter. She's still my kid. She's still someone I enjoy, going to lunch with and things like that. I know that she's safe. I know that she's happy. And when we're together, our time is spent being happy. Our time is not spent solving problems and trying to get her into, when she's here, she's relaxed. When we're there, we're relaxed. We're still a family. We're still very, very close. But I know she's in the situation that she needs to be.
She's on her own, and she's proud of it, just like her brother and sister. And as a family, we get together just like any other family would at any Christmas or Thanksgiving. And Sandy's a part of that. But she also has a place to go when the party's over. She goes back to her normal life at CARC. And she's happy with it. And that's what's important, is her life, her needs, and her happiness. Couldn't ask for more.